and I'm going to get back to my explore window. So this is my explore window, discard your dashboard, and I'm going to now explore the query which I'm going to use it in my Grafana window. So I'm going to use MySQL data source. It will ask me to pull some table from my data source. So I'm going to select on this, and this is something which is a predefined schema which is available with me, and I'm going to connect to the table which is called as a product hyphen sold. Now let me get back to my MySQL console, and I'm going to show you that what is present into product hyphen sold. So you could see there is ID, product name, category, price, sold on, sold at, sold on time, sold on stamp, and time. So this is typically which is a kind of a data source which is in fact connected to something which is called as a time series data, because you could see different columns over here which are having the information related with the time. So it is a time which will indicate that on what time the sale has been done, what is a stamping for that particular thing. All these things are available over here. So now let me pull some data from this product hyphen sold table, and then we'll try to connect it with our actual Grafana dashboard. So first and the foremost thing is that I'm going to say that I'm going to pull the data from product hyphen sold, and I'm going to find out the column out of that. So the column which I want to get is, let's say, select the column, and you will get ID over here, which is the default column. So you're having ID, price, and product ID, which are the different columns, which are normal columns without time series kind of a setting. So this is either ID, price, and product ID. So I'm going to select ID. If at all you want to have any other column, you can select second column, or you can say that I don't want to have this particular column over here. So you can say that you can remove this column. So I don't want this column, and then I'm going to have a time column over here. So this time column is, let's say I'm going to use it and sold on stamp. So I'm going to select this column which is based on time. Now what I mean by that is that I'm going to observe the time which is present in this particular column. So let's select that and try to run a query. Now if you try to run a query, by default you will see nothing as in your output. Reason for that is very simple. If you look at on the top, you will see that it is telling me to pull the data only from last 1 hour, but the problem is that this table has been created few days back, because of which I'm not able to get the data from this particular data source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this settings of the time, and I'm going to change the setting which is present from this from text field and to text field. So let's do it. The table, and you could see that I have a data which is ranging from 2010 to, let's say, 2017. So it's starting from 1st January 2010, and I do have a lot many data which is actually ranging from 1st January to 2010 to, let's say, 1st May 2017. So let's do the settings for that. So I'm going to click on this month, and then click on this year, and I'm going to say that it's going to have, let's say, 2010, and it's a January, and it's a 1st January. So I'm going to pull the data from 1st January 2010, and I want to pull that data till today. So if at all you want to make it as today, you have to just say here now. So I'm going to say now, apply time range, and now you can see there is a output of this particular graph. So how this has been worked is, I'm going to say that I'm going to display the data graphically from the table product hyphen sold. I'm going to show the data as a column ID, but I'm going to show the IDs based on the time ranging from 1st January 2010 till today. Now I don't have the data in that table after 2017, so you don't see anything from 2018, 2019, and 2020. So that's the way it is going to be tested in our Explore window. Now once we test it on the Explore window, I need to put it into my Grafana dashboard. So I'm going to go to dashboard and I'm going to say add new panel. Here I go. In the default, I'm going to say MySQL data source. Followed by that, I'm going to say that I have a data rather which I'm going to use. So this is my prompt query wherein I'm going to get the table name. So my table name is, let us say, product hyphen sold. This is my table name. My column is ID, which I'm going to use as it is, and then I'm going to use the time column, and my time column is, let's say, sold on time. And then if I click this or if I apply this, you will see that there is no data available. Now why no data is available is, again, there is no time setting which has been applied to that. So I'm going to go to this time setting. This says that it was in last 6 hours. So I'm going to change it now, and I'm going to click on this year and change it to, let us say, to 2010 January 1 till now. So my second text box will contain the setting for now, apply time range, and here I go. So what you'll be getting is, you will be getting the panel inside which will be having the ID and the years. So you'll be having the timestamp representation, or you'll be having the representation of the IDs based on the timestamp which has been present in the column that you selected as your time series criteria. So that's the way you will be able to work with your dashboard. So if I now go to this panel title, this is something which is predefinedly available to you. So you can go to this panel and edit it, and over here you can give a name to your title as well. So if at all you want to change the name of this or title of this panel, you can go over here and you can say my panel title is not panel title, but in fact it is, let's say, uh, IDs for product sold, or I can say, let's say, my product panel 1. So by this way you will be able to change your basically panel title. You will be able to also give the name to your dashboard and all the other stuff. So right now I'm not saying it completely because I need to do some other settings as well. You can apply the descriptions as well if at all you want, and below this you can see there is something which is called as a visualization. So in what format you want to display the data graphically into a panel, that's what the visualization will tell you. So the default setting for the visualization is a graph which you can see. Apart from that, it could be statistical, it could be a gauge, it could be bar graph, it could be a table format, it could be a text. But what we actually need right now is graph, because this particular scenario suits in for a graph. Of course, there are certain other scenarios as well during this training session where we'll be talking about statistical graphical view, how to implement gauge, what is the scenario for gauge and all that stuff. But that will come in the later stages. So this is a simple way by which you will be able to add a single column against a time series. Along with that, if at all you click on this column ID, if you click on this column ID and if you click on this plus, you can also create allies to this particular ID. So I'm going to click on the allies and I'm going to say here, let's say, product underscore ID. So let me click on here and I'm going to create another allies. Let me just see what has happened. So I'm going to go to this ID. I'm going to click on this ID, and if I double click on this alias, you will see here that there is something which is called as an alias name which can be applied. So if I click on alias and if I edit that, you will see that the product ID is created. Also, if at all you want to add a new column to this particular panel, you can click on this plus sign and you will see that there is something which is called as an aggregate function and column. We'll talk about aggregate functions later on, but what we are going to talk about is how to add a new column. So if I click on the column, you will see that another column is added, and now I'm going to display the price, right? And then I'm not going to have the alias to this, so I'm going to remove this. And then you could see there are two different uh, columns which are actually described over here. One column is for ID, which you could see in the green color, and second column is of price, you can see in this orange color. Of course, you can later on apply the alias to this as well. So if I go to this and if I say, let's say, product price, we'll be able to see that one. And based on your time, if at all you want to see the values for corresponding column in your graphical representation, you would able to see that by moving your mouse directly. So you can see that on 1st April 2010, you're having a product ID as 28 and the price of that particular product was 200. On, let's say, 1st April again on 2010, the product ID was 28 and the product price was 200. So kind of this stuff you will be able to apply, or you will be able to observe during, or you can see you will be able to observe on your Grafana dashboards and panel. So once you do all these things, you will be needing to save this thing. So I'm going to save this, and let's say I'm going to say this as basic dashboard, and save this. And once you go back to your, let's say, home screen, now we'll be able to see the dashboards which has been created by you. Right now you have created only single dashboard, so you will be able to see that dashboard over here. And if you click on that dashboard, you will be able to see the panel which is created for that particular dashboard. So this is something of very basic stuff about how to create a dashboard and how to pull the data from your data source inside the panels of your dashboards. So we'll be exploring few more features of the panel, setting of the panels, different types of the uh, graph that we can create and all that stuff in our coming videos.